Hello and welcome to this lecture on how to structure an HTML document. In this lecture, I'm going to show you what are the main elements that you need in order to create an HTML document. I'm also going to show you a few basic HTML tags that you need almost every time you create a new HTML document. And finally, I'm going to walk you through to create a basic HTML document template that you pretty much require every time you create a new web page. Okay, let's start with the basic HTML document structure. Although the following figure that you see on your screen may look a little complicated at first, but it's not. It's only here to make things easier for you. And in a short while, I'm going to explain every bit of this figure. This figure is also available for download in the supplementary section of this lecture. Okay, as you can see in this figure, an HTML document is basically divided into two parts. The first one is called as the document head, while as the second one is called as document body. The document head basically contains information that is never displayed on a web page. On the other hand, the document body contains information that you want to display on your web page. Let's now take a closer look at the document head. When you start creating your HTML document, the first tag you're always going to put in is going to be the HTML tag. What it does, it basically tells the browser that this is the beginning of your HTML file. In other words, you can say a browser starts reading your HTML document the moment it encounters the opening HTML tag, and it stops reading your HTML document the moment it encounters the closing HTML tag, which is always put at the end of every HTML document. After you type in the opening HTML tag in the document head, the next tag you're going to type in is going to be the opening head tag, which marks the beginning of the head container. A head container is always going to be the first container to load in a web browser, regardless of where you put it in your HTML file. And it may contain a lot of information. For instance, it can contain the page title, which is displayed in the title bar of your web browser, or in tabs in case of tab browsers. It can also contain the meta tags, which provide descriptive information about your web page. For instance, a meta tag can contain page keywords. That makes it easier for people to look up for your website when they search it on the internet. A meta tag can also contain the page author information, expiration dates, robot values, etc. After you type in all this information, you close the head container by typing in the closing head tag. One thing that you have to remember that this information is never going to be displayed on your web page. In other words, you can say this part, which is the document head, is basically a part of your HTML document that communicates with a web browser. After the document head, you start the document body by typing in the opening body tag, which, just like any other opening tag, marks the beginning of the body container. And the body container is the place where you will put all of your content, whether graphics, text, or media. For instance, you can type in paragraphs, create tables, lists, hyperlinks, and so on. And after you're done putting in your content that you want to display on your web page, you simply close the body container using the closing body tag. And as said earlier, finally you put in the closing HTML tag in order to close the HTML container, which marks the end of your HTML file. Okay, this was about the basic structure of an HTML document. Next, we're going to take a look at how you can go ahead and create a basic HTML document template so that you can use it as a starting point whenever you want to create a new web page. Let's do that by opening Notepad on your computer. And the first thing you're going to do is to save this file with the file name as my web page template. Although, as said earlier, you can name this file whatever you really want. But let's say for this example, I'm just going to name this file as my web page template, followed by the HTML extension in order to make sure that it's saved as an HTML file. After saving your file, you will start creating your first web page by typing in the opening HTML tag. After you type in the opening HTML tag, just go to the next line and type in the opening head tag. And on the next line, type in the page title. Let's say you title this page as sample page title. And make sure to close the page title with the closing title tag. Then on the next line, close the head container. Next, you start the document body by typing in the opening body tag. And then let's say you want to create a paragraph, which will be something like, this is a sample paragraph. And you close the paragraph container. And finally, you close the body container, followed by the HTML container. And then save your file. As you may have noticed that this web page doesn't contain a lot of information like text, graphics, media, etc. That's because you're just getting started in HTML. Next, let me go ahead and minimize this window for a while, and I'm going to go into my projects folder. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit in order to look for this web page that I just created, which is my web page template. And in order to preview it in a web browser, I'm simply going to double click on it. And as you can see, the text, which is this is a sample paragraph, shows up in the browser. And along the top, if you see over here in the tab, it shows the page title, which is sample page title. Again, this document doesn't really contain a lot of information that will be displayed on this web page, but it does definitely tell you how even the most complex web pages are structured. That is by using these basic tags and sectioning your HTML document into two parts, which is the document head and the document body.